We are on the air. All right. Prophets, mystics, visionaries. That's you. I know. You're starting to believe it. So I sent the text out this morning, visionaries. This is our topic, and it'll be our topic for a little while. We've got a lot of material to cover. Today, I want to talk specifically about being the visionary of your own life, establishing a vision of what you want your life to be, and then moving forward to manifest that vision in the world. First within, and then without. So let me start with Hafiz. Then winks. Everything is clapping today. Light, sound, motion, all movement. Everything is clapping today. A rabbit I pass pulls a symbol from a hidden pocket, then winks. This causes a few planets and I to go nuts and start grabbing each other. Someone sees this, calls a shrink, tries to get me committed for being too happy. Listen, this world is the lunatic's sphere. Don't always agree that it's real. Even with my feet upon it and the postman knowing my door, my address is somewhere else. So there's the ultimate vision. The ultimate goal is not only to realize that our address is somewhere else, but to actually take up that residence. And this is where we're going, and this is what we're moving. So, it's the end of the year. It's the end of the year, and this is a traditional here. What we do is we think about what we want for the coming year. I know we try not to have too much invested in what's going to happen tomorrow, but there's nothing wrong with having a plan. As long as we remember the first goal, that our residence is somewhere, our residence is not the material world, that our real home is within. And our real home is within with that divinity that is really our true identity. And so that goal needs to be the first goal, no matter what. And this is really the basis for a happy life, and actually the basis for manifesting joyful things in the outer world. So that's number one. That's the first thing. That's the first goal. To be a visionary, to be a prophet, to be mystical about ourselves and what we do. Now, it's really important to understand that this whole idea of the mystics and the prophets, they had these visions, these spiritual visions that translated, so they have an inner vision that translates into action in the world. They have a spiritual vision that's not for their own edification, not for their own personal gratification, because they understand, if they didn't before, in the midst of the vision, they understand that grasping and grabbing for just personal things without regard to what's going on around will never be satisfying, will never be lasting, it will never actually deliver that which it may promise in the beginning. So coming to this vision means this. It actually comes from a surrender of personal desire. And when I say personal desire, I mean that desire in which we are only concerned about what we get for ourselves. There are many people out there making a lot of money telling people that they need to just go after what they want for themselves. And generally, and it may seem to have worked for some, but generally not that successful. First of all, even if you're kind of smart and get good at it, it's not satisfying in the end. There's always more. There's always something, and it's not like it's nice. You know what? It's nice to have another goal in front of you. It's nice to have something to strive for, but not when it's eating your guts out. So the first goal is to put first things first means actually to put God first. And when we're talking about God, we're not talking about God sitting on a cloud, on a throne, watching down on us. When we're talking about God here, just to be clear, we're talking about God as the all of everything. So when we say put God first, what we're saying is put the whole, put unity, put harmony, put the kingdom of heaven first. First goal. First thing, put the common welfare first. Some of us heard that somewhere else. That from that beginning then. And so then what we do is we have to establish, in order to actually have visions, we have to set up a practice in which we get quiet enough to have one. Although some people have reported that they just show up in the midst of the clamor. It's not for me. That doesn't happen for me. I have to prepare myself. I have to get quiet. And so this there needs to be some kind of practice. And there should actually, the most effective practice is at the beginning and the end. Now, it doesn't have to be, and one of the things about this, about establishing a practice, is that if we decide that our practice is going to be first thing in the morning, that we are going to do a certain thing, pray, meditate, whatever it is, and then we don't, then that's an excuse not to. And so it's okay. So yes, it would be optimal if we do it first thing. But it would be better than not doing it would be to do it whenever we remember that we didn't do it. This will still establish a pattern and a practice. And it gets us, you may think that it doesn't, but if you just a little bit of consideration will show that it actually does establish discipline. Because then the key is, as soon as I remember I didn't, I do it. So, something daily in the morning. I think it's good to start with some kind of prayer. Some kind of prayer that we may do. Some people suggest the Serenity Prayer. The Serenity Prayer is, if you hadn't known it before, I know everybody knows that it's the recovery programs use it, but the Serenity Prayer is really a Stoic prayer. It has its roots in Stoicism, and if we are going to establish a life practice of being of service to others in order to reach that goal of harmony, that big goal of harmony, then we should look at the Stoics, and we are actually going to talk about them. I've got some lessons I'm preparing now on Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, and it's just some marvelous stuff. So anyway, we start with something. I don't actually start with the Serenity Prayer, but many people do. But so the principle here, though, the principle is, if I want to establish my life, first I need to remember the things that are within my power to do something about, and the things that are beyond my power to do something about. To establish a frame of mind where I do not let myself be disturbed by events that occur. Events are just going to happen. There's going to be a bunch of events that happen today. Some of them you are going to consider good. Some of them you are going to consider bad. Some of them other people are going to consider good while you consider them bad. So these are just events. So we don't want to be disturbed by the events that happen because everybody has an opinion about the event. I want to get my frame of mind correct in my meditation. I don't want to be disturbed by events. I want to be paying attention to my opinion of them so that I can change it. So that I can change. So if I need to change it, I can change it. So to also remember that the state of mind, that the universe is constantly the material universe, the world we see is in constant flux. It's constantly changing. But the fact is that life is still what we make it. So in the midst of all this change, we are presented with opportunities for good. And so in the meditation, I ask, this isn't original, I ask to see goodwill. I ask to see God's will. And I ask for power to carry it out. So the universe is constantly changing. It throws me a curveball, many curveballs, right? My attitude doesn't want to be the one of complaining and carrying on, although I can, loudly. I want to say, okay, where's the opportunity for goodwill here? So I want to set my mind in that frame from the beginning. And also to remember that in this world, we inhabit a body. We inhabit a body that I'm just going to tell you, you may not have realized it yet, but the body is going to die somewhere along the line. Everybody else's has so far. So we can be pretty sure that that's what's going to happen. So we want to set our frame of mind so that we are not acting as if there will always be a tomorrow. There is this day that we are in right now. There is this day. And while we are here in this day, in this moment, to do whatever we can to contribute to that common welfare. Now, those were 4 different distinct ideas to begin the day with. It is suggested that you just go ahead and choose one of those 4 ideas and allow your meditation to go down that road and then go out into the world and see what happens. And then at the end of the day, after you've seen what happens, do a little review. And just check yourself. How did I do? How did I match up to the ideals? How did I match up to the small goals that I had for the day? How did I do? And we don't review at the end of the day so that we can beat ourselves up. We don't review at the end of the day to establish guilt. We already have too much guilt. Guilt is useless. It only points out one thing. It actually only points out one thing that's valuable, and that is, don't do that again. It doesn't point out anything else of value. What it really does is it actually sets us up in a pattern of repeating the same thing over and over again because we believe, in our guilt, we believe that that's who we are. We are these things that we have done. I always do that. I don't know what's wrong with me. I keep doing that. Yes, if we keep saying that to ourselves, we will keep doing it. We think that the behavior is us, and it is not. It's not that we're not responsible for the behavior. It's just that it's not us. So, to establish a vision, I want to talk about roles and goals. We do this every year, roles and goals. Each and every one of us have roles that we play in our lives, and they're all different. Everybody has different roles. Some of us have common roles. I mean, there are some roles that are common. But each of us has maybe a different role that other people don't play, or we play the role in a different way. But so we have roles, and I'm going to just give you some ideas, remembering again, the first goal is harmony. The first goal is unity. The first goal is feeling like we are one with God. Putting the focus on that. Well, so then the roles that I have listed here for me. I am a spiritual student. I'm a student. You know, I have some knowledge. I have acquired some knowledge over the years. I am still a student. I've talked to some people here but in other places, and And I've gotten this response, well, you are a teacher. And I said, well, I'm a student. I happen to have a pretty good grasp on Bible. I have a pretty good grasp on a number of spiritual pieces of literature. I am not a scholar. I don't consider myself a scholar. I consider myself a student. I'm still learning. Every time I look at these texts, I see something different. So how can I think that I know what it all is? This is important for me to keep that mindset because then it always keeps it fresh. This does not mean that I cannot teach. But we also know that in this role of being student, we are always teaching. The student, no matter, even if the teacher is not even aware of it, the student is always teaching the teacher. So, as a spiritual student, I should have a goal. I should have some goals. I should look at where I might want to review, like a review I would do at the end of the day. Let me do a review at the end of the year and see, have I done the things that I wanted to do in this area? I probably need to read something that I've been putting off. I've got a number of books that I've purchased and they're just sitting there, and I bought them because I thought that they would help me do what I do here. They're still sitting there, unopened. So what do I need to read this year? Right? What do I need to practice? As we talk about in the meditation, does my practice need a change? So these are some things that I have to write about and put into effect. And now this is like really important how this works. A goal is measurable. A goal is attainable, but it is just maybe a stretch to get to it. This is like can't just set a goal. Look at I have this. I wear this this Nike Fuel Band. All right. I set the goal for 4,000 Nike points a day. Doesn't matter what that means. Just know that 4,000 Nike points a day. You have to do something. You actually have to work. You have to. There needs to be some effort involved. I could have set the thing at 3,000 and hit it every day without a problem. 4,000 is a stretch. 5,000 is injury. So somewhere in between there, right? And I set it, and you know what it does? It records it. Every day it records it, and it's hooked up to this. And then there's a website that it's hooked up to, and I can go back and I can look at what I've done and any progress or any so it's measurable. It's a stretch, but it's doable, but I can see it, right? So with my spiritual practice, if I say I want to read so many pages of the Bible a day, I want to reread Bhagavad Gita, I want to read Tao Te Ching this month, I can tell if I did that or not. I can actually say, okay, I read this many pages, just is what I wanted. If I want to do a lesson a day in the Course in Miracles and read 2 pages a day in the text, which is what's suggested, that's easy to measure. Oh, by the way, it's attainable. Sometimes it's a stretch. And here's something about that. If I fall off on the practice, I'm not going to say it's like okay, like it's not anything, but it's okay as long as I pick up the practice as soon as I realize that I've fallen off, rather than, and here's something that happened, just Course in Miracles, for example. Many thousands, probably millions, maybe 1 million people have started the Course in Miracles and not done it consistently, a lesson a day and 2 pages a day. Probably everyone who has ever picked it up has done that at least once. Don't worry about it. Wherever you stopped, start. Don't go back to the beginning. Start wherever you stopped and go forward, however far you get. And if you stop again, when you decide to pick it up again, start at that point. Now, some of you may have decided January 1st I'm starting. Good. I would suggest that if you're not doing it right now, start today. You'll miss some days. So you might it'll be okay. Start today. Don't wait till January 1st. Start today. So then I can see what's going on. So now then my second role down here is family. family. I need to look at and inside family, I've got a number of roles that I play, right? So I want to look at each one of them and consider, where do I think I've fallen short? Where did I do good? And then just make a decision that this is what I'm going to do. And here again, it needs to be measurable. So I need to say, no, I need to take my dad to lunch more. That's not a goal. That's like that's just some small idea in my mind that sounds nice, but I need to actually say how often. Then I know whether I did it or not. Right? And if I'm not doing it, then I can pick it up again. Seems like I'm doing it more. No, I can tell if I have a number. So then we have career, and I always put with career, servant, because this is the way to have any kind of a career. To have any kind of a job, even no matter if you don't even think it's a career, if you just think it's a job, it's this menial job that I do every day and I have to do it right now. I'm looking for something else, but I have to go in and punch that clock every day to get that money to pay the rent, to get groceries, whatever it is. Stop thinking about it that way. This has got to be a major goal of the year, to start realizing that every job we have is an opportunity to be of service. And if we use it and we look for that opportunity to be of service, it will become, well, let me just say more fulfilling. It could still be not as desirable as we want, but guaranteed that the job will be better than it was before. Not only that, I believe this 100%. Going to work and approaching it that way opens up opportunities that we would have missed otherwise. Maybe in the place where we're